And that was our long intro.
Good evening, everybody. We started at 4:30. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Simply Spooky. I'd just like to apologise, make a full and frank apology for the absence of an episode of Simply Spooky last night on the Things channel because, well, you know the score, guys. It was really, really hot last night, and we spoke earlier on, and with myself come to the conclusion that we didn't have the energy or inclination to do it because it was so hot. But we're back with a bang now, Viv, aren't we?
We are. It's now the temperatures have come down a little bit. But before we start, I have some announcements to make. I want to wish William Southey and Mrs. Southey a very, very happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
I think they've been married 4 years today. So just want to put that out there for them and just say congratulations and many more to come.
Absolutely.
Raising a glass and saying
to you both.
Cheers.
Chin chin, as they say.
Chin,
Are there
chin.
any more? Anything else you'd like to announce, Viv? Anything? No. Is that no?
Well, yeah, we got Brian J. Kano coming to the UK in a couple of weeks. There are still tickets if you want to join with EAPI. They're going to be doing an investigation at what's that prison? Ashwell Prison. So if you want tickets, either message us, we'll put you in contact with Sharon Bradfield, or if you want to contact Sharon Bradfield directly, you can do that. So they are the only announcements that I have today. And other than that, it's still hot.
It's hot, isn't it? Yes. It's still hot. So we're going to give a lovely warm, because it is very warm. We're going to give a warm, especially warm. Hiya, Dave. Warm welcome to the lovely Belle. Now, Belle, I'm going to get you. I could introduce her. Of course I could, but it's hot. So I'm going to get Belle to give you a short introduction as to who she is. Just give us a little idea about, potted history of who you are, please, Belle. Of course, Viv and I know you really well because we work together. So,
yeah, absolutely. So I'm Belle. I'm Midlands based. I've had an interest in the paranormal since I was very, very tiny, and I'm sure it's a story that's going to be delved into later. But it kind of started when I moved into a cemetery house when I was 2.5. So I always had a very keen interest, thanks to my mum. And yeah, sort of developed into the paranormal field. Started about 10 years ago. And I've done some event side of things. I've done some private side of things. And now I'm starting to bring in my spiritual side into it. So I'm sort of trying to do an all singing, all dancing job.
We've called you. We've called you Belle Ward, the paranormal girl. We've given you a title as well.
I'll try and live up to it.
I'm sure you will. So excellent, Belle. Now, man, what I was going to say is that we first met Belle at Mallet, where we had a really good investigation. The investigation itself wasn't fantastic, but meeting Belle there, and it was Steve, wasn't it, as well, and your boys. Yes. It was absolutely a fantastic night. It made the evening for us.
Tell them about the boys. Tell them about the boys.
Well, I'll get onto that in a bit. But all I was going to say is that it was manna from heaven, really, because we've sort of hooked up, and we're doing stuff together, sort of outside of that investigation. So we're working alongside each other as well. And we recently did an investigation at what was it called again? The Haunted
Salon, yeah.
Which was in Northampton, isn't it? I think is it Northampton?
Yeah, it's Kettering, Northampton way, yeah.
And we had some fantastic results here, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
We did.
So, what I'd like to ask you, if it's all right, please, Belle. Yep. I didn't know. Tell us more about this haunted graveyard house.
Oh, yeah. So, basically, I'm originally from a town just outside of Coventry. So I live Coventry at the moment, but I'm actually from a place called Kenilworth in Warwickshire. Yeah, my mum and dad, again, Kenilworth born and raised. My mum fell in love with this house. She'd been in love with it for years, knew the people who'd lived there previously, wasn't actually aware that it was a council-owned property. So when it sort of came available, she jumped at the chance to take it on because basically nobody had lived there. because it was technically inside the cemetery grounds. And it was this. It's still referred to today as the Cemetery Lodge.
It's still there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's still there. It's still there. Yeah. Yeah. I've got sort of distant family that are living in it now. Excuse me. But yeah, it was December 1990. So I was about 2.5 years old, and I remember it. There was deep snow. And yeah, we moved up there, freezing cold house, but all of my memories are within the cemetery. So I found a lot of peace. I found a lot of solace there. Very, very peaceful places for me. It's somewhere that I go back to, and I, even now when I need to think or I need to mulch something over, I will literally just go and sit at the back of the chapel. And nobody ever disturbs me. The occasional dog or squirrel, that's about it. But yeah, all of my memories from my childhood were in that house. And my mum always said that there was something in the house. So I'd got one of these imaginary friends, which I very much think it wasn't an imaginary friend. It was the little boy that lived in the house. But absolutely, absolutely fascinating place. I delved into some of the history of it. We'd got an air raid shelter underground in the back garden. That we had ambitions to dig it up. You know, we were going to turn archaeologist one summer, but then unfortunately, because I had a massive back garden, absolutely huge. It was probably the length of a football pitch. It was that big.
Wow.
And it sort of curved and everything. But then unfortunately the council took it back and built houses on it, so the air raid shelter went and everything. The house is still there, but obviously it's a much smaller garden, and yeah. But that's kind of what piqued my interest, really, because at night time my parents would go and lock the gates up, and then in the morning they'd go and unlock the gates. So walking down the middle of a cemetery, pitch black, bats flying overhead, with gravestones either side, I loved it. So I guess that's kind of what started me on my alternative path, really.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would imagine quite a safe place to be brought up as a child, as well as cemetery.
Yeah,
I would imagine it's pretty peaceful,
Belle,
calm, and safe.
I've got a question, Belle.
Yeah.
That thing that you're cuddling, can you hold it up and tell us what it is and why?
Yeah, so this is Boo. I've had Boo, I think I got him about 12 months ago. There was it was Halloween last year, and he's actually a TY. So again, I think he's limited edition as well. But yeah, he's super soft and cuddly and squidgy, and he's like a ghost. And as soon as I saw him, I fell in love with him, and I said to Steve, my other, I've got to have him. And he literally sits behind me on the sofa downstairs, and I'll just grab him down and I'll have a bit of a cuddle. And yeah, I want to start trying to bring him out on some investigations, because I actually think putting equipment around him, children might try and interact with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a trigger object. Absolutely great.
We could open him up and put the innards of a K2 in him.
Can't open him up.
I can't open him up.
Open him up, put the K2 in, and sew him back up.
Put your hand through him.
Well, yeah, you know.
I must admit, I must profess and confess that I've actually got exactly the same one.
Have you?
Yeah, yep. Hazel bought it for me. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I saw it and thought, that's good. Then I thought, you're a old man. And then she said, so she bought it for me. So I was quite happy with that.
My one is completely different. He's tiny, my TY one, in the shape of a ghost. He's a little one, like he's about that big, full of beans inside.
They're cute though, aren't they?
Oh, they're adorable and so soft, super squishy.
Very soft, very soft. And if they all ghosts were like that, nobody would ever be frightened.
No, I know. It's like a marshmallow with fur.
Marshmallow with fur.
What, me or him?
You're describing Dan. Dan could be a marshmallow with fur.
A shaved marshmallow. I am a shaved marshmallow
with a boiled egg as a head.
Boiled egg as a head. Yeah, like Humpty Dumpty.
Love it. Love
Oh,
it.
we love him. We love him, really. He's done his eyebrows especially for you tonight, you know.
No, I just went. I was so tired. I just went like that, and I fell into place.
Hi, Damien.
Hi, you,
Good to
Damien.
see
I hope
you.
you're doing well, buddy. So, Viv, have you got any more questions before we get on to?
Well, I have when we get on to the other bits. Well, I want to talk about Shepton Mallet.
Okay.
Because it was a great place to investigate. So I'm going to talk about the investigation, not about anything else. There was far too many people running around like lunatics to do any real investigating. But I must say that we had a bit of interaction with your son and his friend with a spirit box.
Yeah.
If you remember rightly, Dan, do you want to cut in here and say a bit more? Or do you want me to?
No, you carry on.
So
I found it hilarious, to be honest. It was great.
So the spirit box had said that, what did it say? It said that your son was, or one of them was good looking.
Hadn't he seen the spirit prior?
He said it was cute. Yeah, he said it was cute.
Hadn't he'd seen the spirit prior though, hadn't he? Didn't he see poke his head out and poke it back again?
Yes, yeah. When we were in, it was E Block we were in, yeah.
That's it, yes, E Block, that's it, yes.
So in the recreation room, he said he was cute. So it wasn't your son, it was his friend. He was cute. Yeah. And then I asked, are you going to touch him? Will you give him a sign? Will you actually physically touch him? And it said yes. And at this point, he was going bright red.
He was.
And then we had to go out and investigate. Now, we weren't in your group, so we didn't know what happened.
Yeah.
But Belle, can you explain to people what your son and his friend did? Because it's so funny, but it's great activity at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't quite remember which block we went into after that, but basically there was showers. There was like a shower area, like a communal shower area. And when we got in there, it was right down at the far end of the unit. And Zai, my stepson, and his friend Kyle, they went down there and they sort of went into the shower bit. Now, Kyle went in thinking that Zai was following him, and he actually wasn't. So Kyle was in there on his own. I think me and Steve were further up in the unit, and there were some other people. But yeah, basically Kyle got touched in the showers, freaked out, came running, to which Zai then freaked out and all came running, and then we all fell about laughing.
Yeah, because he said that he made him bend over as though he was picking up soap.
He was taunting him, going, "Go on, bend over, you can do it, they're not going to touch you," and all this. And then it did, and it was like, oh my god.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it made for a good night. That did.
It was.
It made for a good
because
night.
That's good evidence, because they saw him, they saw the spirit. Yeah. Then they got that little bit on the in the interval. They got that bit on the spirit box. Mm-hmm. So there must have been an interactive spirit there that had followed them to the showers. And when he said go in there and bend over, it touched him on his bottom. Physical touch.
Yeah.
And it did spook him, didn't it? I mean, he wasn't the same after that.
I mean, they were like, they're very skeptical, both of them very skeptical. When I first said about going to Shepton Mallet, they went, oh yeah, you know, we'll come, because it's a prison. And they game together online. They play this game that's to do with ghost hunting, and they were like, oh, is it going to be like that? After that night, Kyle's like, I'm not going on another one.
Really?
I'm trying to convince him for him and Zai to come on another one, but
we'll
whether they will or not, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get them out, definitely.
Yeah,
but it did. I mean, if it weren't for that event, if it weren't for those two and yourselves, it would have been a pretty planned evening. Although we had some good activity ourselves, but overall, it was too many people there. I think it just smothered the investigation, really.
Yeah, if it was run well, if it had run like clockwork, I think it would have been very effective. But
yeah,
I think they're quite a young, sort of freshly constructed team, not too many events. I mean, I had some really good conversations that night with Will and with Hazel that were there.
Yeah.
and different people that I met, obviously outside yourselves and stuff. It was good in that way, but it just seemed a little bit chaotic at times, and people moving around, and it's so difficult to get EVPs when people are shuffling around and moving or going, you're in the wrong area.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
you well know.
You're right. I mean, it was surprising as well because they're all teams, so they're all professional as you can be, so they should have known what they were doing. But it just kind of, I don't know. I think it was bad organisation. Really,
some of the teams were quite sort of new, because they were asking me about my equipment. What's that? How does it work? Oh, what's that? I want one of those. And it was it struck me that some of them were so new that they would just go. They were a newly formed team. They were a team in their own right, but they weren't doing it that long, sort of thing.
No,
but it was lovely to meet people, though.
Quite a vast, expansive area, isn't it? With few staff, I think, overseeing it. Really, there weren't that many staff there, were there? So, but the girl, I must say, the young lady that actually ran the prison itself was superb.
Yeah,
she was. Mine of information, nothing was too much trouble for her, and she was just went beyond to help you, and that kind of made it as well. But I believe they've got another investigation in a couple of weekends at Kelvin Hatch, which is something I've done before, which we've done, haven't we? And
we've done it so many times. Yeah. It's like, no.
I've never done it yet. I've never done it. Admittedly, Will did contact me and say, are you interested? And I'm just like, oh, I've got plans that weekend. I'm sorry. But no, I'd like to do something like that, I think.
It's worth it. The experience is definitely worth it for the experience, without a shadow of a doubt. I would, because I've not had anything there, doesn't necessarily mean nobody else is. Yeah. So it's worth trying. If you've not done it and you want to do it, it's worth trying, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you do get to go there, I mean, they do the sleepover option, and even if the team are not sleeping over, if you sleep over and you've got the run of the place to yourself, it's definitely worth doing, and equally as haunted and as spooky during the day. So you could go during the day because it's all underground, so you're still going to get the same sort of things.
Hi, you, Kerry.
Hi, Kerry.
Hi, Kerry.
You can't tell the time, can you?
Hi, Claire.
Blends and blurs. Right, so
I want to call this lady Claire Air. Claire Air. It's the way it's spelled. Sorry.
Yeah, it's the accent over the So, what do you want to get on to the investigation that we did?
Well, shall I put the picture up?
Yeah.
Shall I put the picture up so you can all talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a little bit of. Let me just give. Do you mind if I just give a little bit of a little bit of framework for it, Viv?
Yeah.
So what we did, we turned up at the. It was actually we were kindly invited along by Belle. And we said, yeah, that'd be great. So we went along and did the investigation with her and Steve. And it was just the four of us. There was a guy that was looking after the building, and I think it was a friend of his that was there. So in all, there was 6, but there was 4 investigating. And the chap had told us that, now, you know what? Lots of information you're given, and lots of it you just brush off and think, yeah, whatever. Maybe that is the case, maybe it isn't, but we'll suck it and see, find out ourselves. Yeah. And one bit of information I'm always sceptical about, because I just am, particularly sceptical, is alien. And he said that there was alien energies that have been attached and attracted to the building, and that people had connection with these.
I looked at you, didn't I, Dan, as if to say, oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's to roll your eyes. There we go. Talk about it.
There we go.
And so we kind of brushed off, well, yeah, of course it is, whatever, dirty. Prior to this, we had done some, I don't know what the experiment's called. It's kind of like a ghost box, but you put a blindfold around your eyes. Oh, no, you put the headphones over your ears. You can't hear anything apart from the headphones, or apart from the actual ghost box, which is playing for the headphones. So people are asking questions, and you, without knowing what they're asking, you'll call out what the answers are through the actual ghost box. And a lot of the answers that we got that evening were really prevalent to the questions that were asked. So much so that we kind of couldn't believe it, really. But this led to it led to Belle sitting in front of a giant mirror and sort of doing, to all intents and purposes, like a scrying effect. Now, we'll take over from there now, and this is what happened. So, if you guys will go ahead.
I will share the screen. Okay.
So you can see the silhouette there of Belle, and she's facing the mirror, and the photo or the videography was taken by Viv at the time. So there you go, guys.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what happened there, Belle? I mean,
Yeah,
that's you sitting there looking into a mirror.
Yeah. So when I first arrived and we were sort of having a look round, that room that still was actually taken in was at the back of the property, and it was the salon area, the hair salon area, and it's just almost floor to ceiling mirrors. And I remember when we went in there, Viv, and you sort of said, "Oh, it'd be good for scrying. It'd be good for scrying." And I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a go. I've tried scrying before. It's been quite hit and miss." And we'd had various different bits, and this was after we'd done the S-test method with the headphones and the blindfold and everything. We sort of went up into this area at the back, and I just went and sat quietly. I'd got Steve was sort of behind me, and then you were in there, weren't you, Dan?
Yes. Yeah.
And I just sat there and I just concentrated and I was focused on breathing. And I'd got sort of one half of my face was in the light and the other half was in the dark. And I remember that quite vividly. It was almost like a straight line down the middle of my face. Now, the side that was in the light didn't shift. The side that was in the dark started morphing. And I was a little apprehensive at first. What I will say is, being around obviously yourselves, Dan and Viv, I felt so comfortable to actually push myself that night, which I did. And I'm so thankful I did. But I just allowed it to happen. I didn't fight it. A little bit freaked out, I've got to admit, but I just went with it. And what I started to notice was that the half of my face that was in the dark started morphing into reptilian, which I have never had before. I've never heard of it before. I've definitely never had it before. And whilst this was going on, Viv, you were obviously taking this video, and this is one of the stills from this video.
Do you know what, Dan? I've just realised, looking at that picture now, right at the very top, you see the two figures, and right at the very top, there is a third face there that stands pretty tall. We had communication on your device that mentioned that. It looks like that to me. A little bit.
Afterwards, we went down and we used an ITC unit, so we thought we'd try and get communication with the spirits. But obviously, ITC units or ITC, you can utilise that for well, it said you can commute with energies outside of the Earth's atmosphere, or you can commune with aliens. But I always that doesn't figure into my plans. I never really trust that. But that evening when we were talking on it, we got communication with what we can only believe was an energy that was outside the Earth's atmosphere, because it kind of stated that it was. And then Vivid started asking it questions about Bigfoot being an alien, and it kept coming back, didn't it? It was a male and a female voice, and they kept repeating the word Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But there was other words in there that just couldn't really make them out, could we? But it was an ITC unit, so it was scrolling continually through radio stations. But the voices we got were static, they were solid, and they were two definitive voices. They weren't from any particular radio wave, not that was playing on this planet, I don't think.
Yeah.
So it was really, really unusual, and it's the first communication, the first sort of foray I've had into the alien world, as it were, and I'm still very sceptical about it, but not about that. Not about that night.
But what was interesting though, Dan, is like Belle was acting as interpreter, and she was actually in communication with. I'm not going to call it an angelic being. I would put something from another dimension.
Yeah.
Maybe alien, something from another planet. And when she was talking to you about it, the communication and the conversations that you had were like, well, we're just not good enough, or
Yeah, we're not
you can
worthy.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a meaningful
we're not
conversation,
worthy.
didn't we?
We did. And the thing that really fascinated me is when I first started this, I could see my face morphing and I was describing what I was seeing. And Dan, as you were asking questions, so I was getting the responses in my head. It then got to the point where they were literally coming out of my mouth. So I was describing them and I was saying, they're saying this, they're saying that. It got to the point the responses were actually coming out of my mouth, without me thinking about it. Now I've never had that, and yeah, that transition for me was very interesting, because it was literally you were asking questions, Dan, and these things were just coming straight out my mouth without me even thinking about it. It was like,
it was an unfaltered conversation, wasn't it? There was no sort of thought process in the answers. It was just, this is it, 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 this is it. They didn't like us, did they? Whoever it was didn't particularly like us, and I could kind of understand from talking to them why they had their reservations about the human race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that really got me was that a lot of people, when they get sort of possessed or taken over, they don't remember anything. I remember everything of that. I categorically, I remember everything. I was awake for the whole thing. I didn't black out. I didn't lose time. But these responses were just coming, and I had absolutely no control over it at all. No control.
You can see in the picture. I just want to talk about the picture just briefly. There are two people or beings in this picture that were quite clearly filmed. They were allowing us to see them through the mirror. You can see the lines in the mirror. That is part of the mirror. There's nothing paranormal about that. You can even see the streaks, the two streaks that come down, as though it's going to your shoulder, which are what I call polished streaks. Do you know when it's not polished properly?
They got smears,
yeah. But clearly through that, you can see these two beings. You've got the heads, neck and shoulders. They've come in light. You can see the light shining on them. You can also see that they've brought in like a rainbow colour effect with them. And it is as clear as you like. The cryptid standing behind maybe is not as clear. And I've only just made that connection like this evening, with the ITC that Dan did afterwards. But
bearing in mind as well, right, I just want to point out, this was pitch black. There was no light source here. There was nothing reflecting off of that glass. It was just a camera that was used in the dark. It was pointing at that. And then when Viv called me over to have a look from the angle, you could still see those light sources.
Yeah.
You could still see those with the naked eye. That wasn't just a case of, oh, this is the camera and it's a light flare or it's reflection from smudges and streaks. You could see that, and you could see it a lot clearer. Obviously, in a photo, you can't really, but believe me, the clarity was spot on when we were there. It was sort of 2020. And not only that, it was done in pitch dark. So there was no light source reflections.
And it will be in an episode of Striking Midnight to come soon.
Oh, I've got loads of them.
Yeah, I don't know how soon though. It was just too hot.
It's going to be a long while.
Right, I'm going to come out of this now, unless anybody's got any questions. I
think there's a couple of questions in the chat, Viv, I think.
Oh, hang on. How do I get out of this? Oh, okay. There we go. Back to normal.
Hey, presto, you're back in the room. In
Facial
what context,
pareidolia.
Dave? Sorry, in what? I agree about. I know what you mean about facial pareidolia, but in what context? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
possibility. Yeah.
Chantel in the house.
Woo!
Whoop, whoop,
Chantel in the
whoop,
room.
whoop, whoop, whoop,
Get down
whoop.
with Chantel. Chantel.
She's my daughter, paranormal daughter.
Ah.
Yeah.
So that was a good evening, but we've got plenty more to come. And I think that, to be honest with you, and I said this to Viv after the investigation, it was the only investigation I've been on for a very long time where I felt so relaxed, and we got through and achieved a lot more than we do on a lot of investigations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how laid back we were in each other's company, and that's how well it worked.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I mean, like, even the conversation we had afterwards, like I was saying to Steve on the drive home, it was about an hour's drive home for us. And I was saying it was so nice to actually just go somewhere and investigate and just turn up and do what we actually went to do. There's no look at me. There's no egos. And even you said that, Dan, I know a couple of days
Oh,
after.
it was great. It was brilliant. You're right.
It was literally just everybody wanted the same thing. So we all just gelled. We worked together.
Yeah.
And even Steve, who is, he's like the biggest skeptic I know. I say that he's as sensitive as a brick. He really is. He's very scientific. He's factual. He wants the evidence. Even when he was looking at that video, he was just like, whoa, there is definitely things in there. But it was just so relaxed and
Yeah.
it reaffirmed for me why I moved away from events, why I wanted to go private. And I'm just so blessed that you guys did come along. I don't think we would have got as much
you know what?
evidence.
Do you know
We
what?
were saying the politics kind of took the life and soul out of the investigating for us, but
I think
now that we're both, working with you guys and that, it's back in again.
The energies between the four of us just mixed really well. It was as though we've known you for years, know what you're about, what you're gonna do. Just get on with it, you know.
As if that wasn't good enough, there was a cute kitten that was looking over a ledge at us.
Oh, there wasn't there? I forgot about him.
Sweet little kitten looking over the ledge at us.
You wanted to take him home, didn't you, Viv?
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I would
but
have
the build, I would say, I'm not. I mean, when I turned up and I saw the guy that was running it, and you know what, you should never judge people on first impressions. Of course, you shouldn't. It was wrong of me to do that. I stereotyped him a bit. I shouldn't have, and I thought that he was full of, and he may very well have been. I don't know, but the stuff that he came forward with was honest, and I think that he turned out to be a decent enough fellow, didn't he? In the end of the day.
Okay, Dan.
He made that face. I thought he was all right. I thought he was a bit full of, but he did. He
liked to talk.
Yeah, a nice enough guy, but very full of self-importance. That's just leave it at that. Right, Dave's come back with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree, Dave. Absolutely. Yeah, pareidolia, and you can get audio pareidolia as well. Absolutely. Totally agree with you, David. And that's the thing. Had it have been in light, I would have, but it wasn't.
Oh, Lois is in the house. Whee!
Whoa, Lois in the house. Woohoo! Good time, Lois. Right.
Lois, she's modding for us tonight. So.
Can I put this up from Damien? Thank you for this, Damien. I didn't realise that was what it was called. Thank you very much.
S-test
method. Thank you.
S-test
Thank
method,
you.
yeah.
Thank you for that, buddy. Hey, Terry in the house. Terry in the house, get down. Get down. Terry in the house, get down. Get down. Right. So, what have we got now?
What? A nice. A cup of tea is nice. The lady next door is nice. Who remembers that advert?
No idea.
You live in South Africa, Chantel. It might be a totally different advert than what we have here, or is it a British advert you're talking about?
We don't even have an advert for Redbush tea.
No, we don't. No.
Sacrilege.
Oh, so we are going out investigating again, the four of us, and maybe the children if they can behave. we might let them come.
Doubt it. they can never be
Talking
eight.
about me, aren't you?
No. Well, I was thinking if we do see what we set out to go and have a look at, we can just shove them in front of it and while we run away.
That'd be brilliant.
They'd love it.
Yeah. But that won't come for another couple of months because I think we need to get this warm weather out of the way first.
Warm weather out of the way, and I think there's so many teams that are going to be out there at the moment, aren't there? Sort of falling over each other. Mm-hmm. And 'tis the season to be bitching, I think, with the paranormal teams at the moment. So
it's rife, isn't it?
Oh, I love sitting back and watching the social media.
Hi, Vaughn.
Hi, Yvonne. Hope you're well. Hope everybody's keeping well in this heat. It's an absolute
and nice and cool. Lots of fluids.
Lots of fluids.
Much love to Stephen too.
Much love to Stephen.
He's a good lad. He is.
It's good. So
there's too many Stevens because you've got a Steve as well, and Lois has got
Steve, yeah,
and Lois has got a Steve, but we're going to call him Stephen just so we don't
divide it.
Just call mine the Viking. It's fine.
Viking.
Oh, he's a handsome lad, your fella. Leave him alone.
He is.
It's freezing here. Is it really, Chantal?
Isn't it winter over there, Chantal? Is it winter in South Africa?
Colder than the polar bear's chuff.
Oh dear. We've got your heat, Lois. Chantal.
We got your heat.
We're going to have to send those lions from South Africa to over here. We'll let them run free in our forest. They'll be fine.
Mind you, I have a sneaky feeling that when Chantal says, yeah, it's winter here, I think their winter's probably like our best summer. Normally.
Yeah. Probably, yeah.
What she means.
Yeah.
So, Belle, I wanted to talk to you. When I first met you, you had some crystals in front of you. So you did some investigating with these crystals. How did that go? And tell us what you know about your crystals and why you choose those crystals and what is that about?
Yeah, so I got into crystals. I was living up in North Yorkshire at the time, about 13 years ago. And my best friend who I met up there, she was very spiritual, very into crystals. And it's probably one of the first things I noticed about her. So I knew about them, but I didn't know enough to actually go and get them. Right. So I basically asked a question and she went, we're going to have to go crystal shopping. So over the last 13 years, I've developed a very, very hefty collection, should I say. We're talking thousands of pounds.
Wow.
Ouch.
Yeah, I can't help it. They're shiny, they're pretty, I have to have them. So I started looking at the more energy properties that they have. So it's enhancing energies, it's giving you courage, it's giving you a voice and everything like that. Then I started looking into crystal enhancing paranormal experiences. I've not gone as far yet as to got a crystal grid. It is on the list. I'm struggling to actually find the crystals that I want that I know aren't fake, because there are so many fakes out there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a lot of my crystals that I have them on my bag. I wear them. I even took a few in my bra sometimes, just in case I'm feeling a bit wobbly that day. With the paranormal side, what I do is I actually wear energy enhancing. So it's a very, very strong belief of mine that we or I can put out energy, but I can actually channel it, and it's almost like converted through the crystals that then go out into the wider, into the atmosphere that then spirits can use to communicate with us better. So that's sort of where I'm at with it. Now, I do work with my pendulums quite a lot. I've got about 15 pendulums.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got quite a few. I've got quite a lot of everything. Yeah, I've even got them hidden from Steve. He doesn't know where they are.
Go to Kerry Greenaway at Spirit and Soul Island. I think on a Sunday normally she does a live where she sells crystals at reasonable prices too.
Send me the details, Kerry. Send me your details. I will definitely be there.
Yeah, she's. I've honestly, I do recommend her because she does have good quality crystals,
Good.
and they don't cost the earth. So
that's the thing, because you've got so many people that are now, and it's something I've noticed probably over the last 5 years.
crystal meth.
Love it, Chantal, love it. A lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon of crystals, and it's classed as new age. Actually, we've been working with them for thousands of years. There's crystal caves that people used to go in to contact the ancestors and channel energy and go for healing. There's a crystal cave in Cornwall that I'm so desperate to get to when I go in September, because it is a healing cave. So I'm like, I have to go. Do
you know, I wanted to do one of those, what do they call it? Sweat lodges.
Oh, okay.
Today. Yeah, but the thing is, when I realised how bad it gets in one of them, and I'm claustrophobic anyway, when he puts all that water on the rocks and it all fills up with steam and everything, I'll be the first one running out of the door. Like, oh, can't breathe.
Yep. No, I'd be exactly the same.
No, because I get claustrophobic, so I don't know about you. I don't know if you'd feel that claustrophobia while sitting in one of those.
I'm not good with high temperatures, so like even like warm weather outside, I find I can't breathe. Like, yeah,
even if it was full of crystals, would you just suck it up and just do it, or
I don't think I'd get any benefit from it if I would, because I'd be feeling so anxious, like, oh my god, I can't breathe. I wouldn't be able to properly sort of zone in and communicate with the crystals and that kind of thing. And I'd be a bit like, well, how many people have been here, and how many people's energy are on these crystals? I'm very, very protective over my crystals, so I don't give them to anybody. It's I don't even let people touch them. So, because it's all my energy and things like that. And yeah, I think sort of I've gone on a journey with crystals, so I can get my collection out and lay it all out, and I can go, I know where I got that from, and I know what I was going through when I got it, and that's why I got it. But I genuinely find them absolutely fascinating, and I'm still learning. Like, every time I meet somebody, I'm learning new things about crystals, and the fact that I can bring that into my paranormal experience is for me, not only does it enhance my energy and my connection with spirit, but it also helps put the energy out there so that they can actually validate through evidence if they choose to. It's definitely a start of a journey that I'm very excited to be on.
I just read Chantel's message. She says a sweat lodge sounds gross. Sauna sounds so much more inviting.
Oh, bless you, Kerry.
Yeah. See, Dan, me and Dan, we just become, honestly, in this heat, we're both the quivering wreck, aren't we, Dan? We haven't even been out ghost hunting or done nothing.
No, couldn't do anything. Couldn't lift two fingers, to be honest. Hazel had to feed me grapes today. It was that bad.
Really?
I love it.
I lay here while she fed me grapes, and the kids waved me down with one of the big, you know, like the Indians used to use the punka wallers, used to use the big one of those.
Oh,
decadent Dan for nothing around here, you know.
Dan.
Oh no, dickhead Dan, that was it. Yeah, not decadent at all.
Well, I have found a place for us to investigate. I went to go and see my brother's grave for the first time over the weekend.
I meant to ask you, how did it go? Was it good?
And well, the amount of famous graves that they have in there, and it's very, very old, and is said to be haunted. So when the nights start drawing in and we get like darkness for a little while, it is in London though, so we'd have to get on the tube. That's the only thing though, Dan. And we get Belle out as well, and Steve. And
I think I know where you're talking about, and it's on my bucket list.
We're going. It's not Highgate. Everyone thinks it's Highgate Cemetery. It's not. It's much better. Well, I say the architecture. I didn't see the vampires because the vampires were the following day.
Oh, what a shame.
And Chelsea Football Club were going to be there the following day as well to do things
with children. What were they doing there?
Well, it was, and they were having an open day, and they were getting the Chelsea guys there for the kids, do stuff with the kids, and there was an exhibition there and all sorts going on. I would tell you what, the amount of people I saw sunbathing in and amongst the graves, it was just like, and I can imagine in London, a lot of people they've got flats, so they've got no gardens.
They don't have space, yeah.
Yeah, go and have a sunbathe in the graveyard. It was quite interesting to see. There were some very nice men with hardly anything on, just sitting there, just had a quick side glance while the husband wasn't looking,
What you need the mirrored glasses for? So
yeah. The thing is, I put them on and I can't see where I'm walking. Just as blind as a bat. But yeah, it is an interesting place. So I have got something else to go and visit later on this year, which I think will be quite an interesting one. And Belle, it'd be a great place to take your crystals as well, to do whatever you wanted to do over certain gravestones.
We have got a few things that we organised this year for us and Belle.
Yeah. And it's not being disrespectful, because these souls, I mean, they passed away 200 and 300, 400 years ago. They're these are what I call the older part of the grave site, and it's huge. It is huge.
Can't wait. Love a good cemetery, me. Love them.
Oh, you'll like this one. So, right, what have we got here? Back to Victorian times, picnic in the graveyard.
It was, James. Absolutely. They did. You're right. Do
you know what?
Do that.
James, I actually did have a picnic in the graveyard. Well,
so did I once with my mum.
Well, I did it with on my brother's grave, but that was a bit different. I was having a picnic with my brother, as far as I was concerned, but not just for a family day out. Oh, wonder what part of London James is from.
Yeah, what part are you from, James?
Bare bones out. What? I hope he's not being rude.
Yeah, of course he is. It's Terry, isn't it? He's filthy, that lad. Filthy.
So yeah. So when the weather sort of when the heat dies down a bit,
get out there and investigate. You were there earlier, so I just want to pay our apologies for last night and not having an episode out on the Things Network, but it was, you guys know the uptake of it. It was too hot last night and nobody could function. I wanted to come on, but Viv said, no, we can't do it. I said, well, let me do it on my own. She said, no, Dan, I know you're a master.
You liar. No. I said to him, Dan, I said, it's really hot. I said, the temperature's just reached 42 degrees. Shall we just not do one tonight? I said, because that room's going to be unbearable. He said, yeah, let's cancel tonight.
What actually happened was when shall we not? Yeah, let's cancel.
It was too hot in here.
It was ridiculous. And the thing was, the temperature it was outside, you put that inside and upstairs anywhere. I mean, like, I'm upstairs at the moment and it is still so warm now. Yeah, it's going to take a few days for the heat to dissipate, I think. But I'm praying for thunderstorms and rain and everything else. I really am.
Do you know, we've got a south-facing garden.
Nice.
So even though it gets cool in the evening, you go out. I'll go outside. I have to sit outside to have a cigarette, and I can feel the heat radiating off the house and hitting the back of my, because the house is that hot.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll
sad.
say one thing, right? I know Terry. He's a mate of mine, and the same as you, Viv. Terry's a grafter, real grafter. He's like building, and he was working out in that yesterday.
Oh.
So all credit to him. I know he's a hard worker, is Terry. Real grafter. So well done, mate. But take it easy. I hope you had loads of water.
Yeah, but also the people that had fires as well. There was people that lost their homes, and we live in the middle of farmers' fields, if you like. We're surrounded, and we even had fires here where fields were catching on fire. And
we did by us. It was scary. So
yes, but what can you do? I love the heat, but not too hot.
Oh, I don't. Give me snow any day.
That's
I'll
you're a
quite
good
happily
fan.
be a snow yeti. I don't mind.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm
Snow Yeti.
never been a sun lover, me. Never really.
No.
I've always
You,
preferred the cooler, colder climates.
you know, you can be a snow yeti. I'd be a ginger Bigfoot. I would.
Ginger Bigfoot.
Ginger Bigfoot, and you can be a dog man, Dan.
Dog make me too hot. I don't show the fur off. Yeah, exactly, James. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
We had
too many horns.
Yeah, we had a few by us because I'm quite close to Coombe Country Park, where Coombe Abbey is. I don't know whether you've ever heard of
Lovely.
Coombe Abbey.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Absolutely beautiful there. But people were out in it. They were taking the dogs out in it, but then they were having
What?
disposable barbecues. Oh yeah. Like I was one of these people because I was training all day yesterday. I'm not even going to lie. The sweat was dripping off me. It was gross. Driving back, the amount of people I saw out walking dogs at 3:00 in the afternoon, and I'm the person, I literally wound down my window and I'm shouting at them as I'm driving along.
Yeah, too right.
I've just been arguing with loads of them.
Yeah, because those poor dogs are burning their paws.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I put a post up on Facebook warning people, even showed them a graphic picture of a dog with burnt paws.
Yeah.
And yet people are still, I mean, I just...
There was one up near us, actually. Well, it's actually in Stevenage. And, yeah, come out at night. That'd be nice. One in Stevenage. I think it was Stevenage. The police had to break the dog out of the car.
I saw that. Yeah.
All right, what's going on? What's going on with these people? There was a garage as well where a guy pulled up next to us. Admittedly, it was sort of morning, so it was to get warm. And he pulled up and he went to go in the garage, and Hazel undone the windows and had to go at him because he left his dogs in the back. And he said, "Mate, give me a minute." And she's like, "That's all it takes, a minute." But he didn't.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they've got just one as well. That's the thing with the animals. I mean, I had it with yesterday and the day before with the 3 cats that we've got. Just anywhere that was cool, they were just going and lying in it, and you sort of get the look as if to go, "Mom, I'm too hot."
I know. It's horrible, isn't it? Horrible.
I did try
anywhere near him. No chance.
I did try to shave the cat, but he wasn't having any of it. He's very dark. He's very dark, and the cat weren't having none of it. I even wet my hands, and I was putting just trying to cool the cat down.
Bless him. Yeah.
He weren't having none of it.
It's horrible, isn't it? When you see him there suffering, and you think, "I don't know, what can I do? You've done everything. What can I do?" You know.
But do you know what they do? The sneaky buggers. They lie in front. You know that big. I've got a big industrial fan downstairs. The cat will lie right in front of it. I didn't think cats were supposed to like those sort of things, but
blocking it from you.
I know. Yeah, he was.
It's when they start scratching and all the fur comes off, and you just get covered in fur. It's like, yeah, gee, thanks.
You want one of those? What are they called? Furminator buster things. It's called a Furminator. Furminator.
Film, wasn't it? The Furminator.
It's a Furminator.
Hello, Jamie. How you doing, brother?
Jamie's in the house.
Jamie in the house. Woo!
I
bet it's boiling at your. I bet it's boiling at your place. What am I shouting? I bet it's hot at your place, Jay.
If you go whoop woo, he thinks it's more like a twit woo.
He does. He does.
Because he's I must say, like, big apologies to Von. I don't know what happened last week, but Von was commenting on our show, and Facebook did something stupid and tried to ban her. So it looks like she's okay now. Hopefully she's got it sorted. But the Facebook was
sorry about that, Von.
Yeah, so
sorry.
But yes, mate, I lost about 10 stone.
But yeah,
sweaty.
I bet you have, mate. I bet you have.
So what's next for you, Belle? What have you got coming up? What's on the cards? Can we talk about what you do for a particular publication?
You can if you want to. I'm quite busy with that at the moment.
Do you want to talk about it?
I can let you talk about it if you like. If you seem very excited about it.
Yes. Belle, for those that don't know, is somebody involved with Haunted Magazine, and you are a
proofreader and copywriter
for the magazine.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'm a glorified spell checker, but I like it.
And that's all that matters. If you like it, it's all that matters.
It's quite interesting. I get to see the articles that are coming up. So these new places that are fresh and coming up, I'm normally getting in touch with them before they actually go live in the magazine. I'm like, can I book your location?
Brilliant.
Yeah. So it has its perks. It definitely has its perks. So.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, that's all right then.
Oh, I see.
Bless you.
You take it easy, Jamie. Don't overdo it, buddy.
Hope you get some sleep.
Yeah. Are
Not
you
like
on
us.
Friday? You on Friday night?
Don't know.
No, come back.
So yeah, so you do all that exciting stuff.
Yeah.
With them. You do all your crystal work. You're an investigator, and your spiritual pathway. So you sit in circle, don't you?
I do.
Don't worry, mate. It's fine.
I my spiritual side, I've always had a very keen interest in it. And I've always sort of been quite fascinated with mediums, and you know, growing up, you watch the thing that the programs that used to be on Living TV, should I say, and you'd got the investigations, but then you've got the mediums on there as well. And I used to watch them with my mum, and we were always fascinated. And she always said to me, you know, you could do something like that, you could do that. And it's like, no, I can't, don't be stupid. But then it was about 10 years ago, I lost my dad. He was quite young, and I'd never been to see a medium before, never had much interest in it. And I thought, you know what? I want to actually say to him what I didn't get a chance to say.
Yeah.
But I actually want to know that he's acknowledging it as well, not just, you know, talking to him all around me. I actually want to know he's acknowledging it. So I started looking into mediumship and going and seeing different mediums. And I came across some real frauds, like taking people's money and just the generic, you know, stuff that they splurge out to everybody just to make a quick buck, basically. And I'd sort of started going along and seeing more mediums that were local to me. They run like spiritual evenings and things where you can go along and have a reading and or possibly get a reading. And I started to look more into it, and, you know, how do you do it? And I bought about 7 or 8 different books, and they all said conflicting things. And I used to have lots of conversations with my mum about it, and I'd say, you know, I've got an interest in this, and you know, this is what's happened. Or if I'd go to a circle and some, like a spiritual evening, somebody had come through and give me a message, I'd phone her and go, Mum, they've said this, this, and this, and she'd go like, yep, we can take all of that. That's our family. But it was only so I lost my mum in March of last year.
I'm sorry.
So 35 years old, and I'm an orphan. So I get to do what I want now. I don't get in trouble. So, but yeah, I lost mum in March of last year, and she always said to me, I will come back and I will tell you and I will show you that there is life after death. She was a very, very strong believer, whereas my dad wasn't. And it was about a month after she had passed, and I went to my first psychic evening. And there was a gentleman there that's from Coventry, and I'd seen him before, and I loved the way he worked. I loved his energy, and he came straight to me. As soon as he started up, he came straight to me, and he gave me an absolutely perfect message that I knew had to come from my mum.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, she's telling me you can do this, so why aren't you? And I said, I don't know how. And he was like, right, talk to me afterwards. So that in April of last year kicked off my spiritual journey. I went along to his circle, and I've been sitting in his circle every week for about the last year. Now, when I started, it was, I don't know if I can do this, but my strength and my bridge between me and spirit is growing and strengthening so much that, like, when I was with you guys, And as I said, I've never opened myself up as much as I did at that investigation around you. And I really pushed myself, and I got some incredible results. Like I was,
That was good work.
amazed.
That was some good work, and to actually be
Yeah.
able to film it. I'll have to try and get that part of the film over to you, so you've got that part privately, if that's
Yeah.
all right with you, Dan.
Yeah, fine, mine.
So,
Yeah,
so if you wanted to show them in your circle, hey,
Yeah.
look what I did. Look what I did, because it's what you did. It's what you brought forward, and
Yeah.
they were able to talk through you. So that was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought it was anyway.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was great. I enjoyed it.
I knew. Yeah, I knew that I'd had a strong connection that night because I was absolutely exhausted after the scrying in the mirror. I was so drained. I think I said to you, Dan, like I'm absolutely flagging.
You looked like you were flat. You were like so tired.
Yeah.
After at the end of that evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good though.
It was so good, and that's sort of what spurred me on even more. Is completely agree with you, Jamie. There, she is a great teacher, hands down. Yeah,
I didn't do anything.
You did though. Your energy kept me safe when I was pushing myself outside of my boundaries. I could push myself because it was your energy that was keeping me safe, Viv. And you know, I knew that nothing was going to mess with you, Dan, so I knew I was safe.
Don't trust Dan. You know what?
They're not interested in me.
I'll tell you something about Dan, right? And there is a live on Striking Midnight's page if you want to scroll and find it. He is an absolute git. You know, when there's things in front of you that are not quite human. They're not actually. They weren't human at all. They looked pretty scary. There was four of
Jamie,
them.
you mean?
4 of them, and only one of me. And I'm saying, Dan, just leave them over there. Like, you know, there's 4 of them. We don't know what they are. They're not of this earth. I'm really unsure what we're dealing with. He says, "Oh, come forward, come and touch me." And I'm sitting right next to him. I said, "No, they can bloody stay over there. Don't ask them to come forward."
We could see him as well, couldn't we? We could see him with the naked eye, plain as the button on your shirt.
Yeah.
It was,
so don't rely don't rely on Dan to support you and protect you, because he puts you in a situation that you don't want to be in, and you have a row with Dan live on air.
Now come on, Terry. Everybody can run faster than me. So you're not doing. That's not an accolade.
Yeah, but Terry, when he said, "Okay, we'll go back to the car," he went to walk in front of me. And he says, "Oh, I'll walk behind you." I said, "No, next to me. Just get next to me." I grabbed hold of him.
Oh, I never. I walked. You were slow because you were like an old granny trying to walk around the headstones. And I'm like, come on. And you're, stay by me.
Stay next to me. I grabbed hold of him and I made him stay next to me. So the one in front, and there's no one at the back, because the one at the back always gets it as far as I'm concerned. So
it's always the one at the back in the horror movies. It's like, nope, not going at the back.
The beauty of it is Viv turned around and said, "Close the doors." So I closed the doors, and she looked at me and I went, "I don't know the point of that." And she looked at me and I went, "There's one in the back." And I looked in the rearview mirror and you grabbed yourself.
So don't say that, Dad, because I know that they can, if they wanted to get in the car, they could. But
one did creep, though. One did creep, didn't it? Around. I saw it creep around the side of the building as we got in the car.
Wow.
When you really are scared, like, you shouldn't be messing with it because you don't know what it is, you know. And Dan's going,
"I was fine.
Come and touch me." It's like, no.
It was fine. It was fine.
Bless you.
It was fine.
Nice. Do you know what, Belle? Just don't rely on him. Just don't.
To be fair,
it's the same as me, Terry. Exactly.
Yeah, I got your back. He didn't run towards them, Terry, honestly. He said, "Nah, they can come here to me." And he was calling them forward, and they were coming nearer and nearer. I said, "That's enough."
You say that, but I dived out that car and tried to chase one.
He did.
Wow.
He does scare
Don't
you.
give me the bigging about me being scared of things, because I'm not scared of things.
He says, I said, go, you go up to it. He goes, "No, they can come to me." I went, "What? But I'm with you. Go over there." You know, they can come in.
Fine, they were fine. They're not going to hurt you.
Love it. Love it.
But
Right.
we've since found out what they are. We've since found out what they are, but they're not tax inspectors.
Just hanging around graveyards, sucking the life out of everything.
Wow. Seems quite fitting.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
But, yeah, we're going to have to call it a day.
we are
over
on
time.
Sorry.
Yes. But it's been great talking to you. The time
yeah,
has
thank
gone.
you, Belle. It's been absolutely superb.
It has. It has.
Terry's calling you two doggers. I'm not.
Oh, trust me, if we go to the place that we were talking about, you'll certainly see them.
Oh.
You know what I was talking to you about? The one that's near me?
Yeah.
You will see them.
Do people still do it, do they, that dogging?
Tapping on the
God, yeah.
window.
Oh, yeah.
Flashlights
and everything. Yeah.
Like,
No, they still do it.
Yeah.
So tell them to get out the car. We could have fun with that.
Wicked.
Terrible. Right, you lovely lot.
We are back on Friday night with the lovely Lois on Lois's show. We are talking about, I'm going to call it Vickers and Tarts, but it's not Vickers and Tarts. What is it?
It was Terry's suggestion, wasn't it? It was about hauntings of the ecclesiastical kind. So hauntings of like vicars and bishops and monks and
nuns.
All of those type of ethereal beings. So it should be an interesting one. It should be quite good.
Yeah. And then on Tuesday, we're back on things with a very special edition. I'm trying to pull it off, but there's going to be a bit of an interview that Maurice Grosse gave on the Enfield haunting. So we're very lucky to have this. So we will be talking about the Enfield haunting, and we will have a bit of Maurice on himself.
My hometown.
Yes. What's he saying? Religious haunting sounds posh.
You suggested it.
Yeah. Well, I'm calling it Vickers and Tarts night.
I love it.
But there you go. So we'll be back next week. You know where to find us. And Belle, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. It's been lovely.
Thank you.
We'll get you on again soon if that's all right with you, Belle.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Belle. Thank you. Everybody, stay out the heat. Stay safe. Drink plenty of water. And make sure those cats and dogs are well looked after as well if you own them. And please don't get them out in the midday sun. So we'll speak to you all later, I guess, won't we, Viv?
We will do. We'll see you then.
Thanks, Belle. Thanks, Belle. Thanks, Viv. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.